Tonight on CTV News, a new motorway is under construction to help ease Waimakariri commuters' frustrations. The Christchurch City Mission is renovating apartments for homeless families. And should this be the new Christchurch Cathedral? This is CTV News. I'm Grant Mangan. The Western Corridor is another step closer to completion, following the turning of the sod on the next stage of the highway.
Blessing the land before the Minister of Transport, Jerry Brownlee, donned his hard hat and high vis, breaking the first piece of land on the last section of the Western Corridor.
So this is part of our Roads of National Significance program. They are 7 roads across the country built in various sections. We've already seen the southern motorway opened, or a part of it opened here. And it's good to see that this Western motorway is making such significant progress. A
project led by the New Zealand Transport Agency. The Western Corridor includes an upgrade of Johns Road between the Groins and Sawyers Arms Road. It will improve access to North and South Canterbury, with the state highway being widened to 4 lanes.
It's going to take quite a bit of heavy traffic off local roads because they can travel down here safely. It'll also improve for cyclists who want to use the road because we're putting a wider shoulder on there as well.
It's part of the $800 million investment to improve Christchurch's roads of significance, the most ambitious highway construction program ever undertaken in the South Island.
This sector was up to an hour's traffic jam after the earthquake. It's a very important feeder route between people from the north and the west and the south, so it's critical.
With progress well underway on the western and southern corridors, Minister Brownlee says working out the challenges of northern access to the city, which has seen up to 30 years growth in the past 4 years, would take place after the general election.
We need to get through next Saturday to work out exactly who will be doing most of the work on that, but it's a bit of work that does definitely need to be done.
But while work begins on the latest of the 3 sections of the Western Corridor, the Minister is hoping to take that digger home with him as a souvenir.
Now normally when you do a sod turning, you do it with a spade, and they give you the spade to take away as a souvenir, so if you could deliver this later in the day, I'll be very grateful. But
Minister Brownlee may be out of luck. That digger will be busy over the next 2.5 years, completing the Western Corridor, which is due to be finished in 2016. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
The Christchurch City Mission is starting to prepare 3 apartments for families needing urgent accommodation.
It needs more than a lick of paint, but the men's former night shelter at the Christchurch City Mission will soon be housing families. It will cost about $140,000 to renovate the building into 3 apartments for families urgently needing a place to stay. The government will fund the bulk of the cost, with the City Council picking up the rest of the tab.
These are families who are currently homeless and placing themselves at risk because of that.
Since the Christchurch City Mission moved across the road to new premises in 2012, these old buildings have been rented out as office space. The 3 self-contained units consist of 2-bedroom apartments. Another one on the top story has 3 bedrooms. The families would stay for up to 12 weeks at a time and have a range of social services to call on.
We get 2 or 3 families a week, perhaps sometimes more, who come and ask for help because they're homeless. They're in substandard homes, or they're in homes that are badly overcrowded, or they're sleeping in their cars, in sheds, garages.
However, because the families will stay for up to 3 months at a time, this means that potentially only 12 families may be able to stay here each year.
A lot more needs to be done. This is a really small project. It's just going to help 3 families at a time. But what we hope is that we'll be able to find good landlords with affordable, healthy homes who will be willing to rent to these people.
The accommodation still needs consent signed off before the renovations can begin. However, once the work starts, it should only take about 5 weeks to complete. Michael Gorman hopes the first families will be in here by Christmas.
And we'll work with them and try and find other safe, healthy accommodation for them.
The high demand for accommodation highlights the housing challenges Christchurch is experiencing.
We imagine that there's always going to be a need for accommodation in Christchurch for the foreseeable future.
However, the new apartments won't help homeless woman Tans, who is pregnant. CTV News first met Tans early in the year when she had a partner and a home. The Christchurch Press has now reported that Tans is 7 months pregnant and drifting between shelters while she works on the street. City Missioner Michael Gorman says unfortunately the City Mission's accommodation is only temporary, but their social agencies are working to find her a home. We'll have more on this later in the week. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
New Zealand's largest local government-owned company, CityCare, has made a large profit.
From 2.8 million to 12.9 million, it's been a good year for CityCare. The largest owned council company across the country reported a net profit, year ending in June, of almost $13 million. CityCare's operations include construction, maintenance of roading, sewers and stormwater services, as well as civic facilities, property maintenance, building construction and repairs. CityCare also has an extremely high staff turnover, up 40% in Christchurch. CityCare Chief Executive Honor Milder told the press the high staff turnover was a characteristic of the construction and infrastructure industry in Christchurch. This year ending in June, CityCare lost 529 staff and employed 422.
The insurance industry is celebrating progress with a number of rebuilds that have been signed off.
The latest figures from the Insurance Council of New Zealand show that insurance payouts for Canterbury Earthquake claims have topped $12 billion. This is $4 billion more than July last year, when private insurers had paid out $7.8 billion. The Insurance Council of New Zealand says that 80% of commercial claims and 66% of all residential claims are now fully settled. However, only 21% of the more than 10,000 insured managed overcap rebuilds and repairs have been completed. Another 2,000 are under construction or in consenting, and an additional 1,000 are under contract. Insurance companies believe there'll be just under 5,000 homes still needing to be repaired by the end of 2016, nearly 6 years after the February 2011 earthquake. The Insurance Council of New Zealand says insurers are making significant progress. But what do Cantabrians think? CTV News spoke to people about where they're at with their repairs and rebuilds.
We have finalised our claims finally after 4 years just in the last month. So
Good news for you then,
it is. Yes, it is good news, but it's not so good for a lot of people over this side of town.
Because of the earthquake, I have to relocate. And EQC passed me on to my insurance passed me on to EQC, and neither want to help.
Yes, we have, but it was all done through EQC because it was under, we did it through Fletcher's.
And they paid out?
It's all sorted, yeah.
We had someone else doing it for us, so we were in a position to be able to do that, but a lot of people aren't, so for us, we left it for them so we didn't have to deal with the problems.
Very upsetting. Quite distraught and very annoying because you've paid for many years to the insurance and they're not coming to the party.
I have been paid out insurance-wise, but in the beginning it was very difficult, but the worst thing is trying to get the assessments done on time to what actually happens, and also more damage that occurs over time as well with aftershocks.
Only slowness.
Only slowness?
Very slow paying out. But I'm fortunate everything I've needed to have done has been done.
Way too slow.
I've given up the battle. I really have. They always say pick your battles to win the war. I think I've lost the war and the battle.
Coming up, the Wizard is in the spotlight as he celebrates a milestone.
Al Jazeera News, international news right off the satellite, bringing you up-to-the-minute coverage of world events. Al Jazeera News, weekday mornings at 6 o'clock, right here on CTV.
Come on down to Ferrymead Golf. Care for a game of paintball? How about some swings on the old driving range? or on our par 3 9-hole golf course. Test your skills on the mini golf course or have a go at the airgun shooting range. Then relax at the Wow Cafe with one of our super succulent Wow Burgers. Whether you want to perfect your swing or are looking for a fun family day out, come down to Ferrymead Golf, 50 Ferrymead Park Drive, right next to the Ferrymead Heritage Park.
Mainland Minerals has been giving farmers the edge since the 1950s. Sophisticated and very accurate soil tests and a vast knowledge of what the soil needs means those using Mainland Minerals keep their costs extremely low while getting the very best results from their fertilisers. Fertiliser application is a science. Get it wrong and you pay. Get it right and it will pay you dividends. Mainland Minerals, proven over 60 years and one of the best kept secrets in farming. Contact the award-winning guys and turn your property around.
Hi, I'm Mark and welcome to Stay Well Pharmacy. Whatever the season, Stay Well Pharmacy has you covered. As an integrated pharmacy, we stock all the well-known pharmacy medicines, as well as quality nutritional and herbal treatments. Our team of pharmacists and full-time naturopath are here to help you find the products and advice to suit the needs of you and your family. So come in and see us at Stay Well Pharmacy, 27 Shands Road in Hornby. Stay Well Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Arts 21 showcases the vast creative talent and minds that are making a name for themselves in Europe and beyond. Think outside the square with Arts 21.
A unique celebration was held over the weekend to mark the 40th anniversary of the Wizard of New Zealand.
Celebrating the old and welcoming in the new.
I hereby declare that Ari Freeman is now accredited by me as a proper, legitimate wizard.
This is the beginning of the wizard movement, which we hope will be global.
Around a dozen of the wizard's apprentices officially moving up the ranks.
Now I am trusted to go off on my own to do wizardly and magical ads.
Jack was Christchurch's first wizard. He came onto the scene in the mid-1970s, becoming a regular at Cathedral Square, but following the quakes is often found with his apprentices at New Regent Street. Now he's preparing the next generation of wizards to take over.
Well, we can get away from all this gravity. Jump, whoa, get your feet off the ground. Listen to the music of the world turning round.
Today has been a landmark in the history of wizardry in the modern world. Wizards have been either figures of legend or myth or escapist financial exploitation. This is real wizard stuff, approved of at the right levels, university, the government and the local peoples.
Hoping to spread their magic beyond the Canterbury Plains.
So we begin to expand into larger and larger numbers. I'm hoping that we'll have hundreds eventually. We don't know, but there's a possibility.
But it was a celebration of his own as well. Jack was celebrating his 40th year as a wizard, moving up the ranks himself yesterday, being elevated to Archwizard. He invited locals to join the celebrations with rides on the Christchurch gondola. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
A group of climate change activists are hoping that potential voters will listen to their message.
350 concerned residents storming the streets of Christchurch.
We're basically marching for action on climate change because climate change hasn't been taken seriously enough across the political spectrum at the moment. So yeah, it was a great turnout. 8
groups came together for the march, including Forest and Bird, Generation Zero and Greenpeace. The message for Cantabrians was to vote for strong government action on climate change. Labour and Green MPs and candidates turned out to the march, however right-wing parties were missing.
We've done our best to make it an election issue, so with the climate voter movement there was the climate voter debate with representation from most of the political parties just on climate issues, which was great. So I think we have made it an election issue and hopefully that'll show when people turn out to the polls.
City Councillor Yanni Johansson and Deputy Mayor Vicky Buck both spoke at the protest. This was followed by the symbolic deflating of a 9-metre tall dinosaur.
That was to bring an end to dinosaur thinking, because at the moment we should be definitely exploiting all our opportunities to go down a clean energy road.
The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and the World Health Organization have both named climate change as the biggest challenge facing humanity. Finding a solution to the problem is why these people turned out to the protest despite the rain. During last month's leaders' debate, the climate change protesters were out in force.
We went out there just to raise awareness and to get our leaders to acknowledge that climate change isn't an issue being talked about or acted on appropriately in government at the moment.
This group wants New Zealand to look overseas at countries like Norway, which is taking action on climate change. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
An open cathedral is being proposed as a replacement for the Christchurch Cathedral that was damaged in the earthquakes and is currently scheduled to be demolished.
This $80 million living cathedral concept could be the replacement of the severely damaged Christchurch Cathedral. The design involves preserving the reinforced walls and frontage of the original cathedral and using the church's footprint as a memorial garden and public space, all under a floating timber canopy. The concept has attracted the attention of Ngaitahu. A spokesperson for the tribe told the press they'd been in discussions with Britain-based Ewan Harkness about his $80 million design. The design would house the central cathedral space, chapels, gardens and a place for civic gatherings. Mr Harkins told the press a bold cathedral square, incorporating the original church as a natural memorial, would show the city's move away from its colonial style, believing the cathedral needed to be a long-term symbol of the city's history and recovery, wanting the cathedral to reflect more than the legacy of the British settlers who built it. Mr Harkness helped set up the British branch of the Christchurch Quake Appeal in 2011. He approached designers and development strategists with the idea for the living cathedral. Anglican Diocese spokesperson Jason Rhodes says the church property trustees had met with Mr Harkness twice about the design. The living cathedral idea has not been ruled out. Mr Rhodes told the press the living cathedral has been one of many options put forward and they were only starting to look at the right way of going forward.
The general election is slowing down the national property market, but how is Canterbury's holding up?
Christchurch house prices are still climbing. Real Estate Institute's Chief Executive Helen O'Sullivan told the press the number of homes listed for sale and selling were down nationwide, but the house prices are on their way up, with an annual rise of almost 10%. O'Sullivan says while prices in most parts of the country were steady, almost all the housing inflation was in Canterbury and Auckland. O'Sullivan believes this weekend's looming general election is playing a part in the slow market, with buyers and sellers holding off until the outcome of the election. This year, listings in Canterbury and Westland were 11% lower than a year ago. A lack of homes for sale and lending restrictions also playing a part.
Still to come, sport and weather.
Canterbury Live coming to you daily at 4:30. It's all about what's happening in your region, Canterbury, what's hot, what's not, and much more. Canterbury Live.
Blue Star Taxis has been servicing the Canterbury region for over 80 years. Canterbury owned and operated with the passion for providing safe, reliable public transport in Christchurch to Cantabrians and visitors to our city. Home safe every time with Blue Star Taxis.
It's Blackwell's Holden Demolition Sale with prices on selected demonstrators that'll blow you away. Cruise SRIV $31,990, Farina CDX $21,990, Captiva CX Diesel $39,990, Holden Spark $14,990 and Trax LTZ $31,990. The clock's ticking. These prices could blow any second. Call Blackwell's Holden Softburn today.
Action Removals, offering short or long-term storage facilities, full packing services, comprehensive rates, all fully insured and with 6 vehicle sizes to choose from. Earthquake repairs? Action Removals pack, move, store and return your valuable possessions stress-free. Action Removals, a family business that has been operating in Christchurch for over 10 years. Action Removals, your one-stop removal service on time, every time. 0800 222 526.
G'day, this is Fletch, your presenter of the TV show Classic Restos. It's the show where it's your chance to see completed restorations being shown, driven and enjoyed.
Here's Gordon Findlater with a summary of the weekend sporting activities.
It was yet another case of one-way traffic on Friday night as Canterbury cruised to their 5th straight win in this season's ITM Cup. Bottom of the Premiership, Wellington were the latest victims, going down 46 points to 12 at AMI Stadium. Tom Taylor returned to the side in style, grabbing the first try of the night in the 14th minute. Canterbury's second on the night came from some scrappy work at scrum time, with Willie Hines hacking the loose ball towards the Wellington goal line before doing just enough to ground the ball. With the half-time score at 15-0, the ante was upped in the second half as Canterbury ran in 5 further tries while Wellington grabbed 2 consolations of their own. The bonus point win puts the Red and Blacks 2 points clear of second place Taranaki, who have played 1 extra match. Canterbury's next test is on Friday night when they travel to Counties Manukau. Still with rugby now, where Buller have moved to the top of the Heartland Rugby Championship after their 19-10 win over top-of-the-table rivals South Canterbury. The win puts Buller 3 points clear after 4 rounds, as they remain the only unbeaten team in the competition. Other Heartland action on Saturday saw Mid-Canterbury get their title defence back on track when they defeated Wanganui 30 points to 14 in Ashburton. Kashmir Technical were denied a 4th trophy this season on Saturday after the recent Chatham Cup winners went down to Western 1-0 in the weekend's English Cup final. The local knockout cup went to Western, whose lone goal came through an excellent piece of solo work from Alex Park in the 12th minute. Kashmir Tech came into the match looking to do the quadruple, having already won the Mainland Premier League, South Island Championship and Chatham Cup this season. Saturday's English Cup victory was the 27th time that Western had lifted the title. After making it to Saturday's semi-finals, both Canterbury's men's and women's hockey sides failed to make either final of their National Hockey League in North Harbour. The men's side had no luck going down to Midlands in a shootout after the match had ended at 2-2. The Canterbury Cavaliers did manage to end the tournament on a high yesterday when they won their 3rd place playoff match against Southern 4-3. The Canterbury Cats had a tough time of it over the weekend, going down 3-1 against Northland in Saturday's semi, before losing in the 3rd place playoff match yesterday to Midlands. Auckland's men's and women's sides took out both titles yesterday. And finally tonight, Hayden Paddon did his chances of securing a drive in next year's World Rally Championship no harm over the weekend, with the Kiwi putting in a solid drive to come home in 6th position. Paddon was the first Hyundai home after team number 1 driver Thierry Neuville lost 2 minutes after clipping a bank on day 1, while Australian driver Chris Atkinson in the other Hyundai was never able to get on the pace. Paddon found himself in a duel for 6th spot through most of day 2 and 3 with Citroen driver Mats Ostberg before the Norwegian suffered suspension failure to give Paddon his best finish in a WRC event to date. Paddon will miss the next event in France before rejoining his team for the Rally of Spain. You're up to date with the latest in local sport. I'm Gordon Findlater for CTV Sport.
Each week we invite our viewers to suggest some music to accompany your regional weather. This week's track is called Higher World from the album Supernatural Feeling by JTQ. Here's your regional weather.
Kia ora Canterbury, let's take a look at your region's weather. First in Timaru, 15, Temuka and Geraldine hitting a high of 16. Looking now at Ashburton, Methven and Rakaia, they had a sunny but cool day hitting 15 today. Moving along to Darfield, 15. Leeston, Ralston and Lincoln hit one of the region's lows on 14 degrees. Heading over to look at what was happening in Akaroa, they hit a high of 15 degrees today. Going north, Rangiora and Kaipoi hit a high of 15, and Amberley, same for you, on 15. Culverden, Hanmer Springs and Cheviot had a lovely day with one of the region's highs on 16 degrees. And up the top in Kaikoura, slightly cooler with just a high of 14 degrees. But what's in store for tomorrow? Thick high cloud may see a few spits of rain spread off the western ranges with moderate westerly winds, but a few showers and colder southwesterlies developing during the afternoon, hitting an overnight low of 8 and a high of 16 degrees. Ashburton, a typical spring Tuesday ahead with westerlies and high cloud. A few spits of early rain, then cooler southwesterlies, and a few brief showers mid-afternoon, hitting an overnight low of 8 and a high of 16 degrees. In Christchurch, high cloud and mild westerly winds during the morning and early afternoon, but cooler southwesterlies may bring a few late afternoon showers. 8 degrees overnight, 16 throughout the day. Kaikoura, gusty westerly winds and scattered rain at times for much of the day, but colder southwesterlies and a few showers in the late afternoon, hitting 8 degrees overnight and a high of 15. And in other areas around the region, Temuka and Geraldine a high of 16 and low of 8. Methven and Rakaia cloudy in the morning with a high of 16. Darfield, Leeston, Ralston and Lincoln expect cloud in the morning with some afternoon showers and a high of just 16. Heading over to Akaroa, cloudy in the morning with a high of 16. Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley, evening showers with an overnight low of 8 and high of 16. Culverden, Hanmer Springs and Cheviot expect cloud in the morning with afternoon showers. And looking ahead for the rest of Canterbury, mostly cloudy and cold on Wednesday, with showers clearing later in the afternoon. Fresh gusty southwest winds dying out from the evening. Be cold on from Wednesday night. Fine with high cloud increasing on Thursday and mild northerly winds freshening. Moderate to fresh mild northwesterly winds and high cloud on Friday. Cloudy and very cold at the weekend with wintry showers at times, some hail likely and snow flurries to 300 metres. Some dry periods too, longer and more frequent inland. Expect strong gusty southwesterlies. And that's your region's weather for this Monday. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
And that's CTV News for Monday. I'm Grant Mangan. Good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.